still alive.
See you on the other side.
All right, bro.
That was quick.
You losing your voice already?
Gone, it's gone.
You gotta talk tomorrow for real.
Without further ado, we're going to bring out somebody that needs no introduction, the incomparable, the immaculate, spectacular, every superlative that you can use. Max Maxwell is somebody that he's just a tremendous dude, man. And when you talk about real estate, a lot of times you don't talk about wholesaling. I didn't really know too much about wholesaling until this year. And when I met Max, just his delivery and the way that he really broke it down to me was just a game changer. And how you can get into real estate without actually having any money. Like a lot of times, like Matt spoke about, how to get money from hard money, but it's like sometimes you can make something out of nothing, and that's what really wholesaling real estate is. So, we have industry leaders in Earn Your Leisure, and Max is an industry leader across the board. He is one of the top professionals in the world, especially when it comes to wholesaling. He's the guy in wholesaling. So yeah, you got the movie star whole look, and his delivery is perfection. Put a lot of pressure on you, so
yeah, a lot.
You got to perform. But without further ado, Max Maxwell.
Appreciate you. So every time I do something with these guys, I gotta shout them out because this is amazing. If you're in the front, turn around and look and see what you see here. And like we was talking about last night, this ain't no rap concert. We're talking about financial literacy and real estate and improving ourselves as people all together. So shout out to the whole crew over there at EYL, man, for sure. So I know we talked a lot about real estate and how to get in. And I'm gonna blow through these slides because I hate slides. But wholesaling is like the gateway drug into real estate. And the reason why it's the gateway drug is because you really don't need any money. So I have a reminder on my phone every day of when I started this business. 3 years, 120 days, 7 minutes and 34 seconds was when I got my first contract. This year we'll do close to last year we did close to 6 million. So to go from broke to that in a short amount of time, 3 years is not a long time. And I did that all with $0. Bump through a slide for me. Not all of them we gonna use. We ain't gonna do that. Go to the next one. I'm just gonna tell y'all my story real quick. So for you don't know, I had to move back home. You can start right there. I had to move back home with my mom at 31 years old. So anybody knows it's a terrible thing. I left home at 17, went to the military. So I haven't been home since 17 years old. And I hit rock bottom at one point. And I got to the place where I said I need to do something. I heard about wholesale and real estate, and I thought it was a scam. Just like you ain't gotta have no money, no credit. You see the guys late night on TV, and I'm like, this is crazy, whatever. But I really started diving into it. I went to YouTube University, podcasts, everything you could think. I just became obsessed, right? How many of you guys get obsessed with something? Most entrepreneurs get obsessed with something, right? So if I wasn't obsessed with entrepreneurship and wholesaling, I'll be a crackhead, because I get crazy obsessed with something. So I locked myself in a room for 3 weeks, and it came out later. 3 weeks later, started driving for dollars, which is essentially driving around in neighborhoods and places and looking for opportunities such as tall grass and all that stuff. And then I landed my first contract. Now remember, I got negative dollars in my Bank of America bank account, and 3 weeks later I get a deal. A few days later I sell it, and I make $14,000. I'm like, wait, this is real. So then I became really obsessed, right? Because I'm like, yo, this is nothing like no other. And I kept going and going and going, and like that whole year I made like, in the next 12 months, I made like $800-something doing this. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Keep in mind, I'm still at my mom's house, right? So I ain't paying nothing like I need to when I'm outside. I couldn't even let my mom know how much money I was still driving that old beat up 04 Volkswagen Jetta that had a bad starter. Y'all familiar with a bad starter, by the way? So you know what you gotta do. She already doing the motions. She's like, I gotta do that when I go outside. But no, you gotta hit the starter every time you wanna start the car. So yeah, it just completely changed my life. So I can't really teach you wholesaling in the amount of time I got. How much time I got? How much time you need? I don't, you tell me. I can't teach you wholesaling, but what I wanna do is spark your interest, like somebody told me about it, so you can then start going doing some research, okay? So wholesaling, how many of you guys know what the word wholesale is? Simple, just wholesale. You can wholesale anything in the world. From shirts to shoes to cars, anything in the world you can think you wholesale. We simply buy goods at a bulk discounted price and then sell them to, somebody else for more money in what could be retail or wholesale again. I don't know what the next slide is, but let's look at it. Definitions, wholesale. To sell goods in large quantities at low prices to be retailed by others. So simply what that means in real estate, you could wholesale anything like I'm saying. But the reason why we do real estate, because the margins are better. I just told you I made $14,000 in 3 weeks. I probably had all of 10 hours into the deal. So I made over $1,000 an hour. How many of you guys make $1,000 an hour right now? I know, I'm trying to come work with you. That's what I'm talking about. So, to be able to do that in 10 hours and make $14,000 is easy. So reason why we do wholesale in real estate, because the margins are bigger. That's it, simple. Let's go to the next slide. I told you about my life, we can skip that. And go back, wasn't I cute as a baby? Go back. I was a cute baby. Anyways, as you can see here, I left at 17, went to the military, we skipped that, we can go over all that. But this is where I got obsessed. How many of you guys have ever been to YouTube University? Right? That's where I got my bachelor's degree, from YouTube University. I got my master's last December. I'm working on my doctorate now. And then I just got obsessed. I started listening to podcasts because I was like, yo, this has got to, if I made 14 grand in 3 weeks. The following week I made 7 grand. And it just kept going and going and going. So I became uberly obsessed with this and enrolled into a free YouTube University. Go to next. So this is my first deal. You see it? 9/28/16 was my first deal. Let me tell you this story. So I went driving for dollars in a neighborhood that I used to live in. I'll never forget the address, 114 Flintfield Drive. It was on the same street I actually grew up on. Drove past the house first, hit the brakes, put it in reverse. Look, I said, this is exactly what they're talking about on the podcast and the YouTube. It's got tall grass. The bushes was all unkept. I'm like, yo, this is perfect. How many of you guys ever see properties like that? Right? You just drove past $14,000. So I found out who the owner was by looking on the public record. It actually was owned by a lady. She was the actual owner, but it was deeded to her great aunt who left it to her. And she was a tired landlord, let some friends stay there, tore the house up, didn't pay rent, and they left. So when I called her around this time, I negotiated a deal of around, purchase price was $40,000. Well, it was really $32,000 and $8,000 in back taxes because the property was behind on taxes, looked like crap, but it was worth, fixed up, $126,000, $27,000. So all I did was I got it under contract. And I know I'm skipping a lot, but let me just tell you simply how it works. So I didn't have any money. I was negative dollars in my bank account. So if you look here, this quick contract, all I simply did was agree to buy the property at a discounted price, right? It's real simple. Like you got this, I don't know whose car this out here is, but it's fly, right? This V8 some Mercedes right here. If that dude pulled up to me right now.
That's Alice Good Energy?
Somebody.
Alice Good Energy.
I know that car is probably $100,000 more. But the thing is, if he came to me right now, 3 years ago and said, yo, I'm gonna leave Atlanta, I'm moving to Vegas, I'm divorced from my wife, I'm out of here, I'm fed up, I'm done. I'm gonna sell you that car right there for $50,000. Now, 3 years ago, I didn't have $50,000. But the idea is I knew that thing was worth 100. Could be more. If it's more, don't be offended. It could be worth, it's worth $100. But I don't have the 50. But I know it's a great deal. So all I'm gonna do is put it under contract with him and say, all right, cool, meet me here on Friday. And I'm bringing the 50,000. You give me the keys, give me the car. But here's what happens when I sign that contract with him for that car, is I have what they call equitable interest in that car or equitable interest in that property. That simply means that I'm invested in that property. So between now and Friday, or between now and November 10th, they can't do anything with that house. They can't sell it. You know, they can fix it up if they want, but they can't sell the house because my contract says I'm gonna buy by this date. So the same thing with the car. So the car, I meet him next Friday, but I know this car is worth a lot of money. There's not even a scratch on the car. But I know somebody in Atlanta that sells Mercedes. So I'm gonna go to him, tell him the details and the specs of the car, and say, I'll sell this thing for you for $60,000. Well, that's a no-brainer. He said, cool, where I meet you? I said, meet me Friday, right here with the money. So Friday rolls around, my man brings the $60,000. I give my guy the $50,000, and I walk away with 10. He takes the car, he washes it, he put it on his lot, he gonna sell the discount and still get $85,000, right? So the point is, all you have to do is get it under contract. You don't have to have the money, but what I did with that other guy that owns a Mercedes dealership, I signed a contract with him. That contract with him was me assigning my rights to the contract so that he can execute it. So simply, it has my company name up there, but when I assign the rights, essentially my name gets scratched off and his company name goes on there, and then he has to execute the rest of this like that. So go to the next slide, which I don't know if I have. Yeah, keep going. So let's talk about this. A lot of people, I hear this a lot. Let's go out. I can't find a deal, Max. I can't find a deal. I can't find a deal. Well, the reality is you shouldn't be looking for a deal. You should be looking for a problem to solve. Now, if you remember the first deal I talked about, I drove past the house, had tall grass, tall bushes, unkept, and she was behind on taxes. Sound like she's in financial distress and physical distress on that property, right? So I'm looking for a problem, not a deal. So if I call this person, I can solve their problem and make money while I'm doing it, well, great. That's how all businesses do. All businesses solve a problem. I took an Uber here, right? So I was at Jay Morrison's Legacy Center before I got here, and I needed to get over here. The problem was I ain't had no car. So I called Uber. Uber solved my problem, and I paid him $60. That's what you do. As a business, you solve problems. So let's go to the next slide. Let's talk about maybe some of the problems. Keep going. Let's see what we got here. So the nuts and bolts of a wholesaling is you got to find a property. One, source the leads. If you good at, yeah, take a picture of this. This is like free information. So you need to find a property. You need to find a problem, right? And once you find a property, you need to know the numbers. I think it was MG was talking about ARV, the after repair value of the property. You need to know what the property is going to be worth after it's fixed up. And then that contract, remember I talked about equitable interest? You're going to go get that contract and secure that home with your contract. And that includes negotiations with the seller. Then you're going to go find the cash buyer. Remember the guy that owns the Mercedes dealership or the guy that flips properties for a living? How many of you guys know somebody that flips properties for a living? There goes your cash buyers right there. They have to deploy money every so often to make a living. That's how they put food on their table. And then you close the deal at an attorney's office or a title company, depends on what state. North Carolina is a attorney company. I think Georgia is a attorney state as well. So you have the attorney close the deal. You don't pay for nothing. You don't pay for none of that. Let's go to the next slide. So finding the leads. What happens is situations and life distress, people go through death, events, people got job transfers, people get sick and got medical bills, can't afford them. You have absentee owners. How many of you guys know what an absentee owner is? Right? It's real simple. They try to make it sound so crazy. An absentee owner is simply if you buy a house and the tax bill you have being sent somewhere else and not to the actual property itself, they consider you an absentee owner, which means if you're not getting the bills to that house, which means you're probably renting it out, right? How many of you have heard horror stories about people owning rental property and tired of being a landlord? So that's a lead source. So once they have to evict somebody and it takes so long, they ain't paid rent in 3 months, they might be ready to sell it. They have a problem. Let's go to the next slide. Then you have finding deals, which is property, like the physical distress. Tall weeds and grass. That's how I found my first one. You got code violations. Code violations is there's somebody in the city department that drives around this little white electrical car writing tickets all day on people's houses. Instead of tickets on cars or houses. So if you got like hanging gutters, anything that's unsafe, you got indoor furniture on the outside, that's a violation. All of that type of stuff. So they keep records of this downtown in the city. And you can go ask for that list. Hey, can I get your code violation list? Sometimes they won't give it to you right away, but if you keep asking, right? I've been denied so many times. And just generally run down properties. Properties just look like crap. Continue, please. So then you have financial distress. It's when somebody just can't afford anything. Back taxes. Here's the reason why I love searching for properties with back taxes. Because if somebody hasn't paid their taxes, one, they're financial distress. Two, it typically means that the property is owned free and clear, right? Because when you have a mortgage, MG, you know, inside of your mortgage is PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. That's what makes an entire mortgage payment. So if the bank is not making the mortgage payment, the tax payment on your behalf, is because they ain't no bank, right? Bankruptcies. People go through bankruptcies, foreclosures. I love the foreclosure list. And then typical IRS liens, financial distress. Let's move on. And your contracts, they're very simple. I think people here, any active wholesalers in what kind of contract do you use? Do you use the realtor contract here, or you create your own? You create your own, right? So you can find, I got a Facebook group called Wholesaling Houses Elite. It's like 97,000 people in there. Go in the file section and download one of the free contracts. But it's real simple. And then you got to do negotiation. How many of you guys know how to talk to people? Just like have a regular conversation. That's it? The rest of y'all don't know how to talk? I guess the rest. So the ones who raise your hand, you're going to do good at this part. Everybody else, you got to hire somebody to do the other part. Talk to people. Never be a desperate buyer, though. The numbers are the numbers, right? So if a house is worth $100,000 fix up, don't say it's worth $120 fix up just to make your deal work. You're going to be stuck with a contract that you can't sell. And then you're going to sell your deal to a cash buyer. These people are all over the place. They have what they call local RIAs. They have Facebook groups where they hang out. They identify themselves as cash buyers. They're easy to find. If you ever have a deal, you're always going to be able to sell a deal, no problem. And then you got cash and private money, what MG was talking about. Let's go to the next one. It's real simple. This is what we all like. How do you get paid? Well, when you're closing your deal, a contract with the seller, and then an assignment fee with the buyer. After title search and everything else is done, then you got this HUD paperwork, and then the deed's recorded and your money's there. I think I have a picture to kind of just describe that. So it's real simple. So when I met that lady, Amy, right? I met Amy, and then I negotiated a contract with Amy for $40,000. Then I found the guy named Greg Pontillo, and I assigned my rights to that contract for $14,000. Greg Pontillo sends that over to the title company, and then the title company does the title search, and the seller gets their money, and I get my money at the end of all that transaction. This is literally how a wholesale deal works. I don't know why people make it so complicated. So take a picture. It's real simple. Once again, you're being the middleman. You never own the property, you just own the contract on it. right? So there you go. That's my first deal. We talked about it. I made 5 days. So you can see contract price for 40,000. My assignment fee was for 14 in 5 days. Let's move to the next slide. I think I may actually have, this is another contract we have. I don't really remember the numbers on it, but I know I made, I think, $30,000 on this one. Let's see here. Oh, that was that one. Oh, I made 48,000, sorry. So, yeah, I made 48,000 in that deal. Simply somebody inherited a property. They didn't want it. We bought it for 95. We signed a contract for 95, found somebody that wanted to live in it, and then we sold it to them for 143.5 over there. And actually on this deal, I just used private money. So I did close on it so I can get a bigger spread. But that's advanced. And then this is another house we just bought. This is what did I make? So I made 19,000. We didn't buy this and I signed it. I put this one under contract for, go back real quick. Let me see that one. So I think it was 280, 380. Was it 380? Yeah, 380. And then you can see here, this family bought the property and paid me $19,000 just to have my contract. I think I went in that house one time. But that house is a nice house. The house was worth $650,000. You can look it up on Zillow and look at the prices. Beautiful house. So when I say, I know I went real fast, but I'm leaving some time for questions if we have at least 10 minutes of questions. But go back real quick, because wholesaling, like I said, is the gateway drug to real estate. And the reason why it is because there's so much education as you're climbing that wholesaling ladder. You're meeting a lot of the people that have money. You're meeting a lot of the hard money lenders, the private lenders. This is a deal we closed on. It's a 20-unit apartment complex that we paid cash for, right? So this thing cash flows like, I forget what it was, but it's a lot of money, right? So the point is because, remember 3 years and 120 days ago, I was broke. Now I own an apartment complex along with other things. So that's how fast you can grow in this business. And I did all of that through wholesaling fees. So the point is this is the entryway. I know a lot of you struggle with saying, I don't have the money to go do X. Hey, MG, I don't have the money for the down payment. I ain't got the 20% yet. I don't got the 10%. This is how you go get the bag. How many active wholesalers have done deals in here? What was your last deal? How much you make?
17,000.
17,000. How long did it take you?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 17,000 in 2 weeks. The only way you making that type of money, you flipping bricks. Okay?
Yeah, jumping. Wall Street jumping.
So you ain't got to look over your shoulder, do you? No, sir. So the point is like I'm saying, it's the entryway into all types of real estate. You learn everything. This wholesaling has allowed me to change my entire family tree. I retired my mom, building a house for her in Jamaica. I'm building my own house right now. 2 of my brothers work for me. You'll literally be able to change your family tree and the way things go. So I don't want to take too much time. I got some time for questions?
Yeah, we're going to do like three questions.
Yeah.
Let's do 3 questions.
And I have an event in Atlanta. I do one event every year. It's called WELIVE Wholesaling Elite. It's in Atlanta in 10 days at the Loews Hotel. It's gonna be fire. It's like the Grammys. We have fun.
Yeah, I wanted to say that. I'm glad you mentioned that. So if you're interested in wholesaling, obviously, like you said, there's only so much that you can learn in a half an hour. But he has a two-day conference.
And we ain't selling nothing. We're not standing from stage trying to sell you. We literally giving the information away. It's gonna be 500 black people learning about wholesaling. You have random millionaires running around the building just because I know them. It's just gonna be a good energy.
Good energy, for sure. 2 weeks. And as Ali said, it's all about investing in yourself. So if you're interested in wholesaling, there's literally nobody in the world that's better qualified to teach. And not just him, his whole team. I think they got like 8 presenters, and they're going to be talking about wholesaling real estate for 2 days right here in the great city of Atlanta in 2 weeks. We live, right?
20. We live 20.
So yeah, if you're interested, make sure you check that out. Because like, if you like what you heard today, then this is just the appetizer. He got a full course entree for his own personal event for sure.
Hi,
How you
I'm
doing?
Erica. I live in South Florida. So the question I have is, South Florida is like a city of fraud, scam all day. So let's say I do find a property, I contact the owner, and then I have a cash buyer who would like, I can reassign it to, but then they go around me and they contact the owner themselves and do the same information I did. So what could stop that?
Guess what? You got that contract, can't do nothing. Remember when I said that equitable interest? They literally couldn't close on the house. Now, if you feel like somebody went behind you, you can simply go down to the courthouse and file what they call a memorandum of agreement. It's just like 1 or 2 pages. And literally when they go do a title search, the title company's gonna be like, oh, there's something on the title. Let me call you up. I've done it before. I've only had to do it 1 time in 3 years. And I still made my $70,000.
So what if that person contacts the owner and says, hey, let this contract expire, there's a deadline on expiration?
Move to the next buyer.
Got it.
If you got a deal, especially South Florida, it's like the buyers are like roaches. They're gonna be all over the place.
Yeah.
Hi. What are the tax implications, if any, as a wholesaler?
Income.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually better than, well, it depends. Because if you flip a house, you pay short-term capital gains, and those things could be, what's that, 15%? So there's different tax strategies on how you can do it, but yeah, it's literally income. Yes, sir.
What are the benefits that you can offer to the realtors that are doing your comps? I know you ride with Francis a lot. I think he's your realtor as well.
Yeah.
Or you work with him. And other realtors that that you may want to work with. A lot of them are asking, what are you doing for me? What am I getting out of it for my time?
Yeah. I tell people go learn how to do comps themselves. I mean, I've been knowing how to do comps for a long time. What I would tell realtors is y'all need to get in this game. Because if y'all don't see y'all industry slipping away, y'all crazy. And I'm speaking to I used to be a licensed realtor. If you don't see that, if you don't see Zillow killing you, if you don't see these 1% listings killing you, y'all crazy. You better find something else. I just made, you just seen that, I made $48,000 on a deal I ain't had to do nothing on. How big of a house you gotta sell to make a $48,000 check? Switch the game up, especially because you have knowledge already. You better get into wholesaling, period. Fast.
One more question. Double closing. How do you either avoid it or how do you complete it without offending the seller or your buyer?
So I've never double closed, and we've done hundreds of deals. And the reason is because I set a great expectation with my buyers and I set an expectation with my sellers. So nobody's surprised when I walk away with a $48,000 check. Did you get your $380,000? Okay, good. I'm gonna give my 48. Right, so I set that expectation because I don't look, buyers to me are not, they're economy. I mean, they just come and go. I can find another one, a new one that fits my program. So don't be scared.
Once again, Max Maxwell, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. And Max is a humble dude.
Appreciate y'all.
He didn't want to sell his event, but I'll do it for him. If you're interested in wholesaling in 2 weeks, we live 20.
All right, Atlanta, we're out.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah, great presentation.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. I just joined the Wholesale Elite page as well, too.
Legit.
Yeah.
I'll see you in there.
All right, take care, man.
Sure.